We're live. Hello, welcome to another edition of the Willy Bragg Show. I am your host, Willy Bragg, and before we get started, like I normally say in my delicate way, hit that like button, hit that like button, hit the subscribe, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, subscribe, hit the notification bell on YouTube, follow me on Twitch. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter. And I'm going to have to find a smoother way to say this every time I start the show. But anyway, all will be well if you do so. And I want to talk about February 19th, 2023, Washington, D.C. At the Lincoln Memorial, there will be an anti-war event called Rage Against the War Machine. Sponsored by the Libertarian Party and the People's Party, and this is where the you could say the anti-war left, the populist left, and the anti-war right and the populist right can kind of meet with common ground. Don't have to agree with everything, except that World War III sucks. World War III sucks. The prospects of that, and the billions being squandered and wasted just to fatten the bank accounts of defense contractors, to just do basically another war for shitlibs and neocons, and that's what it comes down to, and so. Right now, the consensus in Washington D.C. is to go to war, or to contribute to a proxy war, and I have always said, and this is my motto, one of my many mottos in life, that I'm already opposed to the next war. I've said that. For the last decade, and that's where my position is currently. I still make that as my motto. Now, Rage Against the War Machine, as I said, takes place on February 19th. There's like some donation links. I'm not saying donate to this page. I was trying to find a website where we can have a banner and everything. But there will be some keynote speakers, and I'm going to talk more about this as the time gets closer. I'm going to go to the event, by the way. I'm planning to. But as I said, with the anti-war event, and so there will be a host of speakers at the event. I will be there with KRTD Media. We're going to be there. Thank you to Joe Evans from KRTD Media a couple of weeks ago, letting me know about the event. As soon as he mentioned that to us at KRTD, I said, yeah, I'll be there. I said, I live here. I live in Central North Carolina, and it's just a 5.5 hour drive on Highway 95. As a straight up shot on Highway 95 for me, from Johnston County to all the way up to DC. So, just I live a couple of miles away from 95. So, so just get up there on take a 3-mile drive to Highway 95, and then shoot up to on the highway, my car to DC, and it's no trouble for me at all. It'll be fine. So, and I already set it for vacation that week and everything. So everything is good for me. Just like with the Assange event back on October 8th, I made sure I was on vacation that week and all that. If I get plenty of warning, I can make it to some of these events. But anyhow, the point I'm trying to make is that it's important to do coalition building on areas where we can agree, and that is very important, because we're locked in a duopoly, and we don't have the luxury of being so fucking sectarian and to be territorial about everything, that we can pick and choose. There are people I would never work with, of course. There are certain types of people I would never work with, and that goes without saying. Even if they're going to be correct on an issue, I will never work with them, because there's maybe so much wrong with somebody on so many other issues. Like Kyle Kalinske said years ago, that someone like a Richard Spencer may look at a foreign policy like Kyle Kalinske, and may like what he has to say about foreign policy, but Kyle will look at him and say, well, fuck off, because as far as all the other issues with the white nationalism that's advocated by people like Richard Spencer, there's no reason to want to ever work with somebody like that, when the end product of what Richard Spencer will want is going to be far worse than what is the status quo. So there are perimeters I'm not willing to cross. But as I said, I'm not going. If somebody is just a generic Trump supporter, or somebody who gets their news from Tucker Carlson, I don't have to like it. I don't have to agree with it. But you know what? If they're opposed to the war, great. We can work with such a person being opposed to the war. If they believe that Julian Assange being in Belmarsh prison sucks, and they believe in press freedom, and they sincerely believe in this, you don't have to sit there and accept their anti-Medicare for all positions. Just overlook that and work with them on that issue. Okay? All right? So I mean, there are issues where you can overlook and everything. I mean, and that's what it comes down to. Yeah, I mean, someone like a Ben Shapiro, simp. I can't think of anything I will work with such a person on either. I mean, so I'm being fair about that. Somebody who's a Hillary Clinton supporter, or somebody who's a shit lib, aside from maybe a handful of social issues that's kind of like a dub position, where okay, on these social issues is kind of like, okay, well, we agree on this social issue here, but this shit lib, there's so much wrong with the shit lib that I, just kind of like I can't really take seriously supporting such a person. But when it comes down to something as big as anti-war, or something as big as the security, national security state, basically the governmental surveillance of all of us, that's been an ongoing problem since 2001. And I'm not saying it didn't exist previously. In fact, it did. It did, and there was talk about this when I interviewed Keaton and Russell the other day from Due Dissidence about the church committee and what was undone because of what happened in 9/11 with the USA Patriot Act passed by George W. Bush. They were enthusiastically and pushing for the Patriot Act, and then the SOBs in Congress passed it. Now, not being a partisan hack about it, Joe Biden was behind a lot of the writings behind the Patriot Act, and a lot of the language, everything was stored legislation waiting to be passed years before 9/11 happened. Very young in his career before he became a Supreme Court justice. Some of the language also had the fingerprints of Brett Kavanaugh in it too. A lot of people don't know that. Another reason why he should not be in the Supreme Court. And why I urge Brett Kavanaugh to be. That's a good enough reason for him to be impeached and removed, along with the shenanigans of everything else that stacked the court the way it's been stacked in recent years, shall I say? But regarding this action, right now the anti-war movement is new. It's in its infancy stage. And people who are looking at you, you're like, you're opposing this? What are you, some kind of Putin lover? No, not at all. I want to make that emphatically clear that, if I live in Russia, I would not vote for Vladimir Putin. There's nothing about Vladimir Putin that would appeal to me if I lived in Russia. There are other political parties I would choose other than to support some. I don't even know what political party he belongs to tell you the truth, but I would not vote for Vladimir Putin or support any of the right-wing parties within Russia. But there are left-wing parties in Russia that I would support, and all of that. But the point I'm trying to make is that as far as, it's not even about being pro-Russia, pro-Ukraine, or what have you. Is what's happened and what people don't recognize when it comes to the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. And it is this, that when the Soviet Union ceased to exist in the year 1991, before it ceased to exist, that the United States, NATO, made a promise to the Gorbachev government before it became the Russian Federation, before the former Soviet, the Soviet republics became independent states, that the promise was, with the new birthing of Russia, the Russian Federation, a democratic Russia. And honestly, Russia is technically not a dictatorship. And that's going to offend some people, but it is technically not a dictatorship. I mean, you could argue that China might be a dictatorship, whether you support China or not. I mean, it's a one-party state. It's a one-party state. Russia is a multi-party system. They have a parliamentary system with left-right parties in the parliament, the Duma. So, and that's the thing right there, is a parliamentary system. It has the trappings of a Western democracy. It's just a democracy that has an authoritarian president that, and it's certainly right-leaning. It's, again, I would never vote for Putin. But the point I'm trying to make is that the United States and NATO and the West made a promise to the soon-to-be former Soviet Union that they would not allow these countries in the Eastern Bloc, the Warsaw Pact nations, to join NATO, that they would not join NATO. And starting at the end of the Clinton presidency, all the way through the Bush-Cheney years, through the Obama years, through the Trump years, to last year, one by one, these countries in Eastern Europe joined NATO. In 2014, the CIA toppled the government of Ukraine. And I remember that when this happened, it was news at the time that there were neo-Nazis in the government in the Ukraine, through the Azov Battalion, and in various cabinet ministries in the government. And people were trying to whitewash it and say, well, that's a conspiracy theory. There's no Nazis. The Azov Battalion. A bunch of knucklehead private and corporals in the military in the Ukraine. That's like a bunch of like a couple of knucklehead Nazis in Idaho, in Courtis Lane, Idaho, or something like that. No, there are high-level officers who are neo-Nazis in the military in the Ukraine. They're there. Stepan Bandera is a celebrated figure in the Ukraine. Now, I didn't even know this until I was on the Jamar Jabari podcast earlier Monday that the Polish government are upset with the Ukraine for celebrating Stepan Bandera, because and it makes sense with all the people that died in Poland because of Stepan Bandera, who collaborated with Hitler, and he's a celebrated figure in the Ukraine. And I know some people will be like, they use this as a cover up to say, well, wait a minute. Well, Volodymyr Zelensky and his wife Nuska, they're Jewish, so that means that there's no Nazi influence. No, that doesn't mean that. I mean, they haven't. He's an elected president, so yeah, you got an elected president that's happens to be Jewish. Okay, you have people who are Nazis in the Ukraine. Just like in the United States, that sort of thing happened. You have elected African Americans, you have elected Jewish people, and you have throughout the country. But you also have elected alt-right assholes as well. So yeah, you have AOC and you have Bernie Sanders, you have Ilhan Omar, you have people who are of color, people who are minorities who are elected in government. We even had a black president, but you also have alt-right assholes like Marjorie Taylor Greene and the past alt-right assholes like Stephen King in Ohio, not Ohio, Iowa. So the country is the same thing. So, but more so in the Ukraine. More so, where the alt-right influence, or in the case of Ukraine, the actual neo-Nazi influence is a little more profound. And again, that is a problem. That is a problem. I don't want my U.S. dollars, my hard-earned tax dollars, funding Nazis in the Ukraine. I don't. The LGBTQ community are treated just as badly in the Ukraine as they are in Russia, as per case in Eastern Europe. It's a problem in Eastern Europe. It's not acceptable where it's tried. I have a problem with the oppression of LGBTQ people anywhere when it happens. So anybody be like, well, they persecute them in Russia too. What about Russia? Yeah, it sucks. And again, people call me pro-Russia, pro-Putin. Let me tell you, I support Pussy Riot. So that's going to tell you where I stand on that question. I support LGBTQ equality, and that includes LGBTQ equality in Russia. It needs to be challenged. They need to have their freedoms there too. But gay bars are attacked in the Ukraine. This was last year, just weeks before the Russians invaded. There was a gay bar that was attacked, and they had a serious problem in the Ukraine over that issue. The First Lady, Olenska, she went and pressured the Web Summit in Portugal last year to ban the gray zone from entering the Web Summit. Cancel culture. Cancel culture. What I call the gray zone, what I call the Julian Assange who live among us, the many people who are the Julian Assange among us. And I consider the gray zone as one of the many people who are in the tradition of Julian Assange who live among us. And that would be the gray zone. You have Volodymyr Zelensky pressuring the U.S. government, trying to pressure the U.S. government to, not that I agree with Senator Rand Paul, but what Senator Rand Paul, he's correct on some foreign policy. Usually he's based on foreign policy. He's horrible on domestic economics, but on foreign policy, he's actually pretty good. Well, here's the thing. The Zelensky government, Volodymyr Zelensky, plead for the U.S. government to put Rand Paul, and although she's problematic in some areas, Tulsi Gabbard, and to put Glenn Greenwald on a blacklist. You're going to have, and not that I'm the most patriotic person in the world, you're going to have a president of another country dictating to U.S. government to put certain people in the United States, well, in Glenn Greenwald's case in Brazil, but he's still an American citizen, to put these people on a blacklist? Really? Any problem I have with Tulsi Gabbard, the fact that Volodymyr Zelensky wants to put her on a blacklist, makes me want to rehabilitate her even more. You know, her receiving hate from Marjorie Taylor Greene in America, and her getting some hate from Volodymyr Zelensky. Well, you know, there's that. But you know, I mean, I'm doing this ad hoc and quickly because I had to get this out from my chest and all that. Because I have debated with some people, people who are close to me ideologically, but have had a different take on the issue. And I have no hatred toward those that maybe differ from me on these issues, because I'm going to tell you if we're not roasted in a nuclear war, in about 2 or 3 years, they're going to be in the anti-war movement too. They're going to be in the anti-war movement. You know, the Vietnam War, the protests against the Vietnam War, you know, there were liberals that were for the war in the beginning before by 2 or 3 years later, a lot of them just jumped on board, and they were ready to protest against the war and end this war right away. So for some of us, we get a little frustrated with some of these shit libs, and I do too. Give them a little time. They'll be with us. They'll be with us in the streets, and they will realize that we were right all along. You know, they'll realize that. And so, and that's why I'm doing this video right here, to let y'all know about Rage Against the War Machine, Washington, D.C., February 19, 2023. And I will be there. And we're meeting at the Lincoln Memorial. It'll take place around noonish. I'll probably be there a little earlier than that. I'll be there a little earlier. Obviously, I'll obviously be there on Saturday night in Washington. You know, Saturday. So I'm going to be meeting some people. Hopefully Saturday, sometime Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening. Some people I have never met before that I've kept in contact with online over the years. So that should be very, very cool when that happens. But suffice to say, the only person I know who's going to be speaking at the event is Jimmy Dore. As far as the left-wing speakers, I do not know who the other speakers are going to be at the event, but I'm excited about coalition building. And no, I'm not a litmus test kind of person. You don't have to believe in everything I believe in to join my cause or what I believe in, because I'm not that kind of a person. But what I do believe is that we do not need another march toward World War III. We do not need a new Cold War. We do not need any more military spending. In fact, what we need to do, we need to cut our military budget by 50%. We need to leave all the bases around the world and bring our troops home from harm's way. We need to go and reinvest our money instead of all this foreign aid around the world. We need to go and reinvest into things like jobs for all in America, housing for all in America, clean water in Michigan, clean water in Mississippi, health care for all, college education free for all who wants a college education, or vocational school education free for all. This is what we need to work for. We need to go and even for national security reasons, do what we can to bring back the manufacturing base in the United States, to make sure that jobs in the private sector can be available, and to have public accountability of our economy, and in certain instances, if it means the nationalization of some industries, it means that's like nationalization of big pharma. For what I've heard about Moderna, I double up on why we need to go and nationalize big pharma. So anyway, I just wanted to go and stress these issues right now. I'm going to go to work in a few minutes. I just wanted to go and do a quick stream, and all of that. So anyway, we need critical thinking. Hey, how are you doing, my friend? Yeah, I saw you on Mikasa Sakasa earlier. Go Willy, go Willy, go Willy. Hey, how are you doing? How are you doing, Warren? Looking forward to the secret show tomorrow night. Let's see. Hello, hey Willy, hello fam. Let's see here. We have Rage Against the War Machine, Washington D.C., February 23, the Willy Bragg Show. That's pretty good as far as the hashtag. I like the sound of that. Invade Russia. Hot retarded checks. I know you're joking. I know you're joking. You're base. I know you are. Tosi can watch on TV. Well, things I've heard about her. Let's see. Friday night, Willy. Yep, it is a Friday night. Let's see here. And the monarchy at Dairy Queen. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Had an interesting conversation about the monarchy with a Scottish friend of mine last week. Have a great night, Willy. Have a great night. Have a great night, Warren. Sukasa, that's Mikasa Sukasa. That's Nico House's network. He has a network. I don't know if you're familiar with that network, Hot Retarded Checks. He was a supporter of Tulsi Gabbard in 2020 when she ran for president. He was one of her campaign surrogates, and he formed the Mikasa Sukasa network. So that's who. That's it's Mikasa Sukasa, MCSC network. So anyway, so folks, I just wanted to talk about that, and I hope that you all consider coming to Rage Against the War Machine, because Lord knows we need to rage against the war machine, the military-industrial complex. It's not just a neocon problem. It is a neocon problem for damn sure. It's a neocon problem, but it's also now a shitlib problem. It's a neocon shitlib problem. They're two sides of the same coin. Shitlibs and neocons are two sides of the same coin. So, and we, this Washington consensus crap is toxic. We need to change things, or things will continue to the point where everything's going to suck even more than it is now. If you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you disagree, comment anyway. We'll have a conversation. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it, because we are, in fact, the muckrakers of our time. Subscribe to this channel. Hit the notification bell. Follow me on Twitch. Follow me on YouTube here on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and remember, always reject corporate media, because corporate media has nothing to offer us under any circumstances. Get a second opinion. Get 22 opinions if need be. Until next time, I am Willy Bragg. I am going to wish you all a great night. I will see y'all tomorrow night on the Saturday night feature on KRTV. Take care. Have a great evening. Good night. Farewell.